In a previous video, I talked about an article in which Gene Roddenberry discussed his hatred for Star Trek The Next Generation episode titled Family. And the comment section went crazy on that video. Half of you loved that episode. The other half of you absolutely hate it and agree with Gene. And guess what? Both sides are right. And we're going to break that down today for what I consider to be the most important episode in the Star Trek The Next Generation legacy and franchise. But I'm also here to tell you that I agree with both sides. I'm writer, producer, Trader Bubba. This here's cousin Emmy. More about her later. And this is Bubba Breaks Sci-Fi.
You're gonna see some serious shit.
So say we all.
Engage.
Before we get into today's video, I'm doing a giveaway in this video. If you want to win this I Survive Wolf 359 shirt, guess what? You can do it in this video, and I'm going to tell you how later. Now, I'm not going to sit here and rehash the entire plot of this episode. I'm assuming you've seen it, but this episode takes place after the universe-altering events of Best of Both Worlds. This episode is important because for the first time in Star Trek history, from both the original series and the 3 seasons so far of The Next Generation, events from one episode had a massive impact on the next episode. Best of Both Worlds had a massive effect on this franchise. The events of these 2 episodes would trickle over into other Star Trek series. It would come up again during a Star Trek movie. There's merch. It had a huge effect on Deep Space Nine. And also, I don't know if I mentioned this, but there's merch. The events from this 2-part episode are so massive, it would have a lasting effect on the character, and it would come up time and time again. And to follow this episode with a business as usual type story would be discredit to this 2-part episode. It would discredit everything that this episode is creatively and as a business, just everything. To not acknowledge the weight of that in some way, shape, or form is idiotic at best. And I'm pretty sure there was a lot of discussion in the writer's room for this season saying how they want to follow up, how they want to handle the fallout from Best of Both Worlds. This is a quote from an interview with Ronald D. It wasn't until the end of the 3rd season, when the summer buzz over Michael Pillar's Best of Both Worlds 2-parter had people wondering what happened with Picard and the Borg, that the show's popularity started to exponentially grow. After that, suddenly we were Star Trek. We were true bearers of the torch. So it's really gratifying to see that this many years later, there's real affection for what we did. So what he's talking about there is he's basically saying, look, the first 2 seasons, which as most fans know, aren't necessarily coveted amongst the fans. And the Best of Both Worlds, while never anywhere near as popular as Who Shot JR, has aged rather well among the annals of televisual cliffhangers. In his book on the medium, The TV Showrunner's Roadmap, writer and lecturer Neil Landau cites it alongside Who Shot JR as the pinnacle of a certain type of end-of-season cliffhanger. Even today, it's still ranked as one of the best cliffhangers in the medium. So look, all of this is to say that it's an important episode. It's an important milestone, both creatively, but also as the business that was Star Trek The Next Generation. It was season 3 that really started to gather the fans into a following. It was no longer a, will this show make it or not? Is it real Star Trek or not? The 3rd season really kind of set in the stone, like, hey, we're real Trek. We're not going anywhere. And the Best of Both Worlds exploded and gathered a lot of new eyeballs onto the franchise in the series. So when it came to season 4 and completing the season, the 2-parter for Best of Both Worlds, how are they going to follow up? Because if the next episode is just business as usual and there's no effect on the crew or anything from the massive events they just followed, people would probably tune out and say this show's kind of ridiculous. Like, these crazy events just happened and now Picard's just on another mission like nothing happened. it would probably turn off a lot of the new viewers. The episode family is also important because it changes the design of the characters. You have to remember that Star Trek The Next Generation, when they were developing the show, these characters were designed. They each served a purpose. So with the episode family, it's one of the first times that we really dive in to who some of these characters are. They're no longer just designed to perform X, Y, and Z in terms of plot and weekly storytelling devices. We now get to see where some of these characters come from, namely Worf and his Earth parents, Wesley Crusher's and Dr. Crusher's backstory a little bit, and of course, Captain Picard, who goes home to France. This is a very important episode because it's setting up these characters for future episodes that will come through the next few seasons, and in some cases, the movies, especially with Picard, because we meet his nephew, his brother and wife. And if you remember Star Trek Generations, and I got a few comments on this from the other video talking about this episode, his family, his brother and nephew and wife are killed in a horrible fire. You really have two universe altering episodes back to back. You've got Best of Both Worlds and Family. These two episodes, or really three episodes, have a massive impact on the entire Star Trek universe. Their importance creatively cannot be understated. Also, too, with Captain Picard, he had spent the first 2 years with a stiff upper lip, being that staunch British/French naval style captain. And this is one of the rare moments where we see him let his guard down. And it's necessary. It's so necessary, especially in the first 2 seasons. These characters are all so perfect. They interact so well with each other, and they look back at us in the 20th century with disdain. It disconnects the audience from the characters so much because they've become so advanced and so perfect in their society that when they do look back at the past, or basically us, the viewers, they're kind of going, man, you guys are stupid a-hole savages. Hey y'all, I'm Trader Bubba. This is Cousin Emmy, and when I hit 1,000 subs, we're giving away this Smells Like Command scented candle, and I'll be doing some other fun giveaways as well. I've got all sorts of fun merch in the store. None of the proceeds go to me, none of it goes to the YouTube channel. It's all for a good cause. So hit that subscribe button and let's get up to 1,000 subs, and I will send you some free goodies.
Hello. Good luck with the giveaway. Bye.
So when Captain Picard finally goes home to the vineyard, pretending that everything is okay, considering leaving Starfleet for a different job, having it out with his brother, whom he's always had a difficult relationship with, it humanizes Picard in a way that had yet to be done. It cut him down from being that perfect, staunch, leader to somebody that the audience can finally connect with at some level. He's human like us. He's imperfect like us. And that is so important from a writer's perspective for 2 reasons. Number one, it helps the audience connect more because audience members that aren't necessarily into the science fiction of it all can connect to these characters now. And maybe they'll come back and watch a little more Star Trek, even though they might not necessarily be the biggest science fiction fans. From a writer's perspective, this is important because now we can start telling more character-driven stories with Picard. He's not just a stiff upper lip, silent, strong leader. There's a human side to him now. He's got flaws that we can explore. How does he overcome these flaws? Things like that. It makes for not only easier writing, but better writing. There's something I need to announce. This here is Cousin Emmy. She's been modeling the merch for Trader Bubba YouTube channels for a couple of years now. She's engaged. Congratulations, Cousin Emmy. She's also incredibly pregnant. Guys, if you get a chance, the link is down below. If you could help support Cousin Emmy during this difficult time, I would really, really appreciate it. She loves being a part of my YouTube channels, and any help is appreciated. In support of the detractors of this episode, it's a slow burn. There's not a lot going on in this episode. The Enterprise is getting fixed. The physical scars of the Enterprise are getting fixed. The physical scars on Picard are healed, but the emotional scars are what we're working on in this episode. And let's be honest, that's not everyone's cup of tea. Star Trek is such a fun universe to play in because it has something for everyone. It's got action, adventure, it's got the romanticism of space exploration and seeing what's out there. Not everyone is going to be in love with character-driven episodes on what is essentially a space adventure program. And I can respect that. I totally understand that, and I support that. You know, I get it. As a writer, you know, the adventure without kind of diving into the characters, it gets harder and harder, and quite frankly, a little more boring the more episodes you do. Like, who are these guys? What are their motivations? Why are they there? And this is one of the first times where we finally get a little taste of that, and it's a breath of fresh air. And this is really going to set the standard for what we would see for the rest of the series. Because again, new writers came in season 3, a couple of new ones actually here on season 4. But this is the Star Trek The Next Generation that most of us think of moving forward. Earlier, I was talking about how these characters were designed. And really, if you go back, and I did a whole video on Commander Riker, why he's the hardest character to write for and my least favorite. Keyword being favorite, guys. He's still a favorite. It's just of all my favorites, he's the less favoritist of the favorites. But these characters were designed. Commander Riker is basically Captain Kirk. Data is Spock. Worf is the anti-Spock. Data wants to be more human. Worf is a Klingon who wants to be more Klingon and less human. So it's a nice change of pace that we get a little bit of a Worf story here that isn't just Worf fighting other Klingons or going into his Klingon side. This is one of the rare episodes where we actually get to see Worf's human side, and it's important for his character. It's important for his character's motivation, for us understanding who he is and why he is the way he is, because again, it's kind of ironic that the previous episode was called The Best of Both Worlds, because Worf is really the best of both worlds. He's the best of Klingon culture, but he's also bringing along the best of humanity and really merging these two, frankly, different cultures together into something quite unique and wonderful. So this is an important episode for Worf as well. Again, Worf's an action character. He's like Riker. He's an action man. He ain't fighting anybody in this. He's dealing with his parents being in his workplace. It's almost like a sitcom episode a little bit, but with a lot of drama in it. Great episode. But again, I can understand why so many fans are just turned off by the slower pacing of it.
They took everything I was. He used me to kill and to destroy, and I couldn't stop them. I tried so hard. I wasn't strong enough. I wasn't good enough.
I know it's not the most action-packed, and it might not be the most compelling moment for a lot of fans, but I'm telling you, this is the most important moment in Captain Picard's entire journey, starting from the pilot episode all the way up through the end of Picard Season 3. This is the moment where he can finally break down to somebody. He can release his emotions safely to somebody because he's such a pride-filled man. He doesn't like to express weakness to his crew, even to Troy, whom he does confide in. But you have to release the fear, the anxiety, the guilt. You have to release it somewhere, and this is the only safe spot that he could do it without fear of being judged or misunderstood. No one can understand what this man has been through. Now, Star Trek, sci-fi, nonsense aside, If you are ever in a position of leadership, be it at your workplace, your family, you know, when you're the person in charge, when the people are looking to you, it can get incredibly lonely at the top because you're the one that they're always coming to for the answers. And it's hard. It's draining. And I can guarantee if you've ever been in a position of leadership for any length of time, you've had moments like this because you just need a moment to breathe, to express your doubt, your fears, and in some cases, your guilt. Because if you don't find a safe place to do that, you won't survive. This is the most important moment in Star Trek history for this particular crew and this particular character, without a doubt. There's a lot of great stuff that happens to him before and after this episode. Don't get me wrong. This is the most important moment. It's the most important moment from a business standpoint, too. Because, like I said, it humanizes the characters. It shows the audience that, hey, even though we're doing episodic storytelling, even though next week Picard's going to be on a mission, everything's going to be hunky-dory, that things do carry over. That you, the audience, don't always know what the next episode's going to bring. And maybe not everything's going to be so perfect, so hunky-dory. And again, finally, after 3 years of perfection, almost arrogance, with they're looking down at us from their, their righteousness and looking down at us in the 20th century, 21st now. They're not so perfect. They're human like us. Maybe we can connect to these characters. Maybe there is something more than just two-dimensional design characters to push a weekly plot device. Guys, I'm Trader Bubba. Thanks so much for tuning in. Oh, that's right, the giveaway. If you want to win this Wolf 359 shirt, all you got to do is leave a comment down below in the comment section with the name Emmy. So leave the name Emmy down below, and then in 1 week time on Friday, June 26th, I will do a drawing with a random comment picker generator, and I'll announce the winner of the giveaway. So leave that comment. But don't go away just yet. I got another video popping up right here, and it is intense. If you haven't seen the previous video about Gene Roddenberry hating this episode, you should probably check that out. That's popping up right here, along with another great video. I'm Trader Bubba, writer-producer, and I will see you in the next one.